Hey everybody, what's up? Question Period Canada, Ehren right here. We've got something new for you. These are the highlights. Check this out. Let's go. Up first, Andrew Scheer takes on Jenna Sudds and Chrissy Freeland, puts them down.
8 years, Canadians are learning the hard way that the Prime Minister is simply not worth the cost. And the latest food price report shows that Canadians are bracing for another devastating blow next year, with families being forced to pay over $700 more for groceries. And that's on top of all the price increases the Prime Minister's carbon tax and inflationary deficits have already caused. Instead of making food more expensive with planned tax hikes, why don't the Liberals support our common sense plan to take the carbon tax off of families, First Nations, and farmers?
Mr. Speaker, well, the Conservatives continue to do all that they can to paralyze government. We are here to work on behalf of Canadians and happy to do so, Mr. Speaker. We will continue to make the necessary investments in our social programs, in Canada Child Benefit, in our $10 a day National Early Learning and Child Care Program. These programs are transformational for Canadian families, saving them hundreds of dollars each and every month. Mr. Speaker, we'll continue to work hard on behalf of Canadian families.
The honourable member from Regina Capel.
The transformation that this government has caused to families is that working people now have to go to food banks after 8 years of this Prime Minister. Let me read you a quote from that food price report. Canadians are reducing their expenditures on groceries, either by reducing the quantity or quality of food they are buying. This is unbelievable. This is in Canada. We used to have a high quality of life, especially for working people, and now those people with jobs are having to put water in their milk or literally go hungry. Do the Liberals not realize what they've done to this country, and when will they finally take the tax off so food prices can come down?
The Honourable Minister of Finance and Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we will take no lessons from the Conservatives when it comes to supporting the least vulnerable in Canada. Let's review the facts, Mr. Speaker. UNICEF came out with a report just this month where they showed that child poverty in Canada has decreased by 22% compared to where they left Canadians under our government. 2.3 million more Canadians have been lifted out of poverty under our government. They know how to cut. They don't know how to support Canadians.
Up next, some French people are really sensitive about the Magdalen Islands.
Honourable member for Portneuf-Jacques-Cartier, from the beginning, please. Mr. Speaker, I was suggesting that the minister leave the Magdalen Islands and walk the streets of Montreal because today is the Grande Guignolée des Médias food drive in Quebec. People are on the streets asking for help because food banks are overflowing. Will this government finally understand people's desperation and listen to reason? A family of 4 will pay $700 more next year for groceries. So instead of wanting to tax even more with the help of the Bloc Québécois, can the government have a little heart and cancel the carbon tax, which isn't working, and that will finally help our farmers and families? The Honourable Fisheries and Oceans and Coast Guard Minister. Mr. Speaker, it's absolutely shameful to talk that way about people of the Magdalen Islands. That is absolutely shameful, Mr. Speaker. He should be ashamed to speak ill of those people from my region, Madam Speaker. Shame, he should be ashamed.
Now we've got some Liberals that are crazy about the Ukraine.
Center.
Mr. Speaker, my question is to the Minister of International Trade on the Canada-Ukraine Free Trade Agreement. I've been speaking with Ukrainian Canadian Congress branches across Canada, and they've been telling me how important this agreement is, both to Canada's economy, to Ukraine's economy, and to Ukraine's rebuild. Now, it's been over a week since the Ukrainian Canadian Congress wrote to the leader of the Conservative Party to express their disappointment in the fact that every single Conservative MP voted against the agreement and to urge them to support it. Still, Conservatives oppose it. Could the Minister minister reassure Canadians that despite Conservative opposition and obstruction, this government will stand with the Ukrainian people until they win?
The Honourable Minister for International Trade.
Mr. Speaker, Ukrainians have a word for the Conservative position on the Canada-Ukraine Free Trade Agreement. Nitsa. Nonsense. It's nonsense to call this agreement woke. It's nonsense to not stand up for Ukraine's sovereignty. It is nonsense to suggest that this agreement puts a price on pollution on Ukraine, because they've had a price on pollution since 2011.
Absolutely.
President Zelensky wants this agreement. The rest of this House voted for this agreement. Why won't the Conservatives vote for this agreement?
Kyle Seaback tries to cast a spell on Chrystia Freeland. She's a witch, can't do it.
Mr. Speaker, the finance minister wants to talk numbers. That's great. Let's talk about the 2 million Canadians that visited a food bank in one single month as a result of this NDP Liberal government. 800,000 Ontarians went to the food bank. It would be the third largest city in Ontario dependent on a food bank for food. This finance minister says she won't take lessons. Even a third grader could figure out they have destroyed Canadians and driving them to food banks. And they could fix it if they cared, Mr. Speaker. All they have to do, take the carbon tax off for families, First Nations, and farmers.
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance for Canada.
Mr. Speaker, for once we heard something true from the Conservatives. Yes, the finance minister does believe in talking about numbers. So let's talk about some numbers. 1.1 million more jobs in Canada than before COVID. 8 out of 10 Canadians have more money in their pockets thanks to the carbon price. And you know what? Last week I was in Edmonton, one of the largest investments in Canadian history, more than $11 billion from Dow. You know why? Because of our price on pollution. That's what the Dow CEO told us was underpinning of his investment.
Did it just get colder in here? We better call in Shannon Stubbs to heat it up.
Again from the top, please, but I'd ask her to be careful in the language that she uses. The Honourable Member from Lakeland.
The constituents of Calgary Skyview will hold the MP to account for his betrayal of their constituents, and he'll pay at the ballot box. Bill C-50 is the top-down just transition that will end oil and gas in Canada in favour of dictator and U.S. oil. The NDP Liberals know it will kill 170,000 oil and gas jobs immediately and hurt 2.7 million Canadians working in transportation, construction, agriculture, manufacturing on top of it. It will make power and fuel prices skyrocket. The NDP Liberals also know it will hurt Indigenous and visible minority Canadians the worst. It's never been more clear that Canadians cannot afford the colluding, costly cover-up coalition.
Order. The Honourable Member. Alors, s'il vous plaît.
Order, please.
Those are the highlights from today's question period, December 7th. It was a lot of fun. Chrystia Freeland's always trying to keep it so cold, but Shannon Stubbs is heating it up. So are the Conservatives, putting pressure on these Liberals. My name's Ehren, Question Period Canada. Like and subscribe. We're having a great time with Canadian politics. Catch you next video. Thanks for watching.